time. Are you starting?
Hi, friends. Yep. It's happening. We're here. Hi, friends. Welcome back to Black Girl Fireside Chats. I am Femi.
And I'm Malia. And I promise to get it together.
She won't fulfill that promise. We welcome back to Black Girl Fireside Chats. Wow. This is going to be a special episode because Malia and I have already had a bit to drink. So here we are. Yeah. But we have created this series as a time to explore questions and challenges and lessons that we have learned and are continuing to learn as Black women having to navigate mostly white spaces.
Yes, and we want this to be a way that we get to build community for ourselves and other people. I will say that it has definitely been effective in that for me, and that I get to hang out with Femi every week and talk about her life, and I just feel so honored.
Same.
Yay. And so we also hope that you have enjoyed getting to know us as well, and know that we want to get to know you, and that this series is for you if you are a Black woman who finds that they have whatever I just said, Siri heard me on my phone and she like turned on. I don't even remember saying Siri's name. Go away.
That's some get out shit. That's some get out shit.
Yeah, that's freaky. But anyway, all of that's to say that we love to hear from you. Even though this is the last episode of this season, yes, there will be another season. Don't be sad, Femi.
I know, right? Like, I didn't know. There's a new season. There's going to be another season.
Spoiler alert. There's more. So we would still love to hear, like, what have you liked about this season? Is there something that we said that really resonated with you? Is there stuff you want us to talk about in season 2? All of that. So DM me at Olafioye-Omogbehin on Instagram, or DM Femi O on Instagram as well, or other ways of getting in touch.
Yeah, that's fine. And so also with that, the new season that's coming out, I know that we've gotten some questions from you guys about doing an audio only situation. And I wanted to let you know it is coming. We are working on it. We are figuring out like the logistics and how that will happen, but it will happen and it will be part of the second season. So stay tuned.
Yeah, that's what we're excited about.
Yeah, a lot of things coming. Okay, so let's dive in. This week we are going to be talking about body image. So, cheers.
Cheers. I like this. It's like a little tradition.
Yeah, it's fun, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say like no, not a 10. I was going to say a 7. It's like a 4.
How drunk you are?
Yeah, like if 1 is like stone cold sober, I think I'm like a 4 or a
5. Okay. I thought we were still sticking with 7. I was like, what happened?
No.
It's fine.
That's another conversation for another day, but I don't think I've hit 10. I am not a heavy drinker.
I've definitely hit 11. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, definitely done that. Anywho.
So, body image.
Yes. So, Malia, would you like to start? Just let us know what your journey with your body image has been.
Yeah, I mean, it's ongoing, right? Which I'm sure is true for so many people. I have struggled with body image for a while. I remember, like even when I was little, like we already talked about, like the hair thing of like wanting like the long flowing with the t-shirt and the whatever. The swoop.
T-shirt or towel, whatever you have.
Or towel, whatever you had access to. So, I mean, that's like an aspect of body image, right? But even just like that my skin was a different color, or, at what point did I enter puberty? And at what point do you start to grow hair in places? And what does that hair look like compared to other people in the walk? Like all of those things kind of made it difficult to go through puberty. And yeah, I mean, Southern California, which I love that place for a lot of, really mostly one reason. The Pacific Ocean is why I love Southern California.
I love the Pacific Ocean.
California burritos. Okay, so there's more than one. I could make a list.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like wonderful that people are so active and spend so much time outdoors. And it's like an absolute,
Trap. It's a
it's
trap.
such a trap. Yeah, trap is the word.
Yeah.
Because people are just kind of obsessed with fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And I was when I lived there. And like it's weird because now I've like kind of gone to the opposite end of the scale where like fitness is not a thing that I put as much like movement. I my body would feel better today if I like had integrated more a practice of like movement into my daily life.
Sure.
And so I did a lot of moving back then, but I think a lot of it was kind of in the spirit of, you know, like I need to be as thin as possible. I need to have a flat stomach.
Ooh, girl.
All of these things. And I mean, I don't know. I guess what my struggle with body image looked like is, I mean, I guess I feel like for me, the message of like wanting to be thin came mostly from the like white women around me.
Yeah.
Like I had friends, roommates who were very concerned with exercising, very concerned with what they ate, and I was too. You know, it didn't all kind of like some of that was by my own initiation or where I was at, um, and it was hard because in some sense it was kind of like this like unachievable. Like I was never going to be white, you know.
Right.
I was never going to be white.
Yeah.
But there was a time and a place when like I did have like a pretty like stereotypically Southern Californian fit body. I used to run a lot of half marathons. Like I think I ran 3 or 4 half marathons in 5 years. Yeah. Okay. I know. And then I tried to run a marathon and that ruined running for me. And to this day, I have not run more than like 5 miles.
That makes sense.
But yeah, and so my journey with body image. So I mean, so that shaped it a lot early on. When I left California, I definitely felt like, I mean, I still was obviously like bombarded by images of like whiteness and what an attractive woman looks like.
Sure.
But it wasn't, yeah, the people around me weren't as consumed with like fitness and body image in quite the same way.
Yeah.
And so then being thin was still a focus and still definitely like, I feel like as long as I've been single, like I've kind of had this attachment or like need to be, to embody whatever it is that would make me physically desirable to men.
Yeah.
And I've usually equated that with thinness. Even though men have different tastes, and I guess you could make like some stereotypes about like, you know, what Black men prefer, but that's kind of a different thing.
Yep.
And for me, like then in like my mid 20s, my like weight and body type, body shape was really like a function of some pretty unhealthy anxiety. I just like didn't have a good appetite, or I just didn't, my digestive system would just like move things through a little too quickly, you know? Or, I just, you know, my partner reminds me, and I remind myself sometimes that I used to say, it's like, you know, you too could have this, whatever, 5'3", however many pounds body, if you just, you know, trade in your peace of mind for a lifetime of anxiety,
right?
You know?
Right. New diet. Anxiety.
Yeah. And so now I am a lot less anxious, which I'm very grateful for, and have a very different body type than what I did at that time. And then that's a function of a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I think that like kind of where I am now in my relationship with my body, there's a lot of ways that I'm in a better place. Like I feel like I'm much more committed to loving this body unconditionally. And I also like need to from a practical standpoint, but would like to be taking better care of this body as well. And that to me doesn't have to do I don't want it to have to do with the number on the scale, although like all of those years of socialization have not evaporated. You know, I'm planning to get married this year. And so let me tell you, there's nothing like watching a bunch of very thin white women in anthropology style wedding dresses to make you feel like you need to lose 70 pounds.
I don't want to do it. Oh Lord, I can never get married. Oh my God.
I'm regretting it for that. I mean, I'm not, but like for that part is not fun.
But low key, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's my reality right now. That's really how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And is there another thing I was going to say? I feel like there was another thing I was going to say. It'll come to me.
Okay.
Tell me about your journey with body image, Femme.
Yeah. First of all, I love like so many of the things that you said. I feel like I kept trying to make and hold mental notes of what you brought up. And I think all of them are gone. But I will do my best to pick up. But I mean, starting from the framework of like Southern California, I feel like that is like huge. I think it's also interesting though, because like I've never left Southern California. And so I think I've always had this idea that like everywhere is like this, you know, even though it's not true. That's like 100% not true. But I'm like, sure, everywhere is obsessed with like how your body looks and like being fit and like athletic but curvy and like all of this stuff, you know, which is my own journey and oppressive thinking. But yeah, so like, I mean, I think, right, like as we kind of talked about in the first episode, and kind of similarly to what you just mentioned too, I like have always wanted or had always wanted to be white. That was like the goal. And then anything close to that I could manage was a consolation prize, right? So like hair that was long, getting as small as possible. Again, I went to La Jolla High. All of the girls were rails. Like I remember, yeah, that just brought up some memories. Because I always also joke that I feel like most like girls that I grew up with were little and then got big. And I feel like I was bigger and then got little. Like, you know, like I just, the way that my body showed up, like I always felt like bigger than everyone. I was taller than all the boys in elementary school. I was like at least twice the size of like most of the girls. Like I just always felt like the big friend, you know? And like, yeah, again, like going into like middle school, high school in La Jolla, I remember specifically there were these designer jeans called Frankie B's that were literally this big around. Like they were like these tiny 00 girls could barely fit in them. And like they were the rage, you know? So it was like, how can I get into a pair of Frankie B's? Like, how can I ever be small enough? Obviously, I think by the time I was like 14, I realized that would never happen for me. And I was devastated. Like I was like really sad, you know? But that was always the goal, is like how to just be small, you know? And so then going through, I feel like in college is when I started like actually working out for the first time, like really regularly keeping up with it. I remember, I've been thinking to myself, like, I don't care what happens to my boobs or my ass. I just want to be small. Like, I don't care about these, like, typically, traditionally feminine, desirable aspects to my body. I just want to be little. And so I started, like, really working out. And, like, from a health, no, I was going to say from a health standpoint, it was, like, a good idea. It wasn't. It also wasn't. Because I also wasn't, like, eating properly. I got really small. I got really, really small when I was like probably 21, like 20, 21. And at the time I remember thinking like, well, first of all, at the time I couldn't even enjoy it because I was like never small enough. I remember like being like, oh man, like I'm a size 28. Like my waist size was a 28 and like celebrating for maybe an afternoon. And then like always going back to like, I need to get smaller, I need to get smaller, I need to get smaller. I remember too, one time, like, I think we went to Sun God at UCSD.
Oh my gosh. Haven't heard that phrase in a while.
Right. Right. For those of you who don't know, Sun God was a music festival held at UCSD at the end of each year. And it was a fucking mess. It was like,
And let me say, it was a mess because UCSD students, I think, were some of the most repressed, like
so repressed,
not quite valedictorian or salutatorian people in all of California.
Mm-hmm.
It was a mess. It was a mess.
It was a bunch of
we do the right thing, like 364 days a year, and this is our day to behave like normal college students, except none of us know how to hold our liquor.
How to do it. Exactly. That was the thing. It's a bunch of nerds who like never drank, who didn't know how to drink. And so then they just like got sick everywhere. It was a disaster. And myself included. Like, I mean, like I was drinking in high school for sure, but like it was like I still was out of control. Anyway, all that.
While you're doing that, why don't I just do the same?
Cheers. So yeah, I remember at Sun God, like one of my like more peripheral friends like ran into me. Y'all just saw me.
Okay, no, I'm so glad because I've literally done that when I've been refilling my glass, like when you're not looking, because I'm like, I don't know if she does this, but it's like, no,
whatever.
Yeah.
I told y'all we've been drinking. Anyway, so one of my peripheral friends like saw me and was like, whoa, like, are you like, you lost so much weight? And I was like, yeah, thanks. Oh my God. I was like also hammered then. And yeah, like I remember it like being like, it was just this celebration around like losing my body. Like essentially, like it was like, you know, and I love what you said about like, no matter what though, I wasn't going to be white. Because that's ultimately what this was all about, you know, like trying to get to that. And it wasn't enough. So probably when I got out of in college during this time. So I used to run a lot, like not as much as Mawia. I was not running half marathon. I was running 3 miles, maybe. And
this is probably like the doctor recommended amount of like cardiovascular activity.
Actually,
like, anything after that is overkill.
Yeah. And so I was running a lot, like, and so I ended up like getting a lot of like back spasms, like where my back would just like lock up because I wasn't like properly exercising the muscles in my back. I was like only doing sit-ups because I was trying to get a flat stomach, which by the way is not in my body. I don't have it. Like I won't, and it's okay. Anyway, so I started getting a lot of back spasms. So I started going to yoga to like relieve and like get more flexible and like whatever. And I noticed that as I went to yoga, like my body kind of expanded, you know, like I watched my waist get bigger. I watched my thighs get bigger. I watched my ass get bigger. I watched like my shoulders, my arms feel like they got bigger. And I remember having a moment with myself where I was like, I'm just going to let my body be what it wants to be, you know, like but also at the same time, it became, because like yoga teaches you cool shit. Like, you know, you can do headstands, handstands, like fucking turn yourself into a pretzel. It's so fun. So like, I think that was part of the trade-off too, where I was like, okay, like maybe it's less about what my body looks like now and more about what my body can do. Like I was having so much fun turning upside down that I was like, I don't care, or I care less. Obviously I still cared, God. But I care less like how skinny I am, you know? But yeah, I feel like I feel like I'm still on that like tip, like where I'm like, I'm going to let my body do what she wants to do. I don't like do scales. I don't, and not because I'm like actively against them, but as soon as I learned that muscle mass weighs more than fat, I was like, well, bitch, like what are we doing? You know, like what is the point? Like if I'm like going to gain more muscle mass and like be heavier, then like, okay, I'm still like toned, you know? So I stopped doing scales. I was like watching more like, I guess my like dress size. I remember actually I was in my best friend's wedding a couple of years ago and we had to give our measurements or something. That was a moment where I was like, okay, so you've done all this work on your body image issues, but they haven't all gone away, bitch, because like these numbers feel high, you know, like, so I think it's still, like you mentioned, it's still like a process of like ongoing healing with that. But yeah, I feel like I've been seeking at least to be, yeah, like I said, like more about what my body can do, less about what it looks like, allowing it to turn into whatever it will turn into. And also like a quote, I think that like kind of changed my perspective was like, love the I hate it. Sounds so cheesy now, but like love the body you have while you're working for the body that you want or whatever, you know, like where it's like this idea of just constantly being present with your body. Also, I think in this practice comes realizing, like, I feel like so many times, and was all I used to do, is I would look at other people's bodies and be like, oh, I want that. Oh, I want that stomach. I want that ass. I want those legs. I want those arms, like all of that stuff. And I'm like, you can't separate the body that way. Like you know, like you can't just like pick pieces and choose and be like, I want this person's this, I want this person's this, whatever. Like the body is like all together. And I feel like trying to separate it is doing a disservice to yourself. Also doing it, like it's dehumanizing whoever you're looking at to like separate them into like their stomach or their arms or their whatever, you know? So yeah, I feel like I've been on a journey of recognizing like my body is unique. Also remembering that like your body is the only one like it in the world, which is like amazing, you know, like it's incredible. And that like it's just gonna show up how it's gonna show up, and it's alive, and so that makes it good, you know. But also in this process, I wanted to talk about. All right, I know I've been talking a lot already, but like we're here. But I think you mentioned something. I don't remember what it was, but I wanted to say, like, like, I think also in this process has been for me, like bringing race into it, right? So I was talking to Maui actually, like before we started recording, about like the ways that I've dissociated from my body because of the hypersexualization of Black women. Me feeling like my body has been taught to me that it is for someone else. My boobs are for someone else. My ass is for someone else. Like my body exists, especially like sexually, like for someone else. And so I think that's also part of like the body image conversation, is like reclaiming the body, like feeling safe in the body. Also, realizing that like when your body feels like it is the draw for unwanted attention, that is catcalls, sexual harassment, sexual assault, you know, like you're more likely to dissociate from the body because it feels unsafe in that way as well. And so I think that's also been part of the healing process for me in my body image, is recognizing like is honestly like not sexualizing myself, like waking up in the morning and being like, I exist in this body and it looks like this, and it doesn't have to be sexual first thing in the morning. Like, you know what I mean? Like it can be other things. It can be beauty. It can be soft. It can be poetry. It can be like, and not to say that like those things are, and sex are like mutually exclusive, but I think that like when there has been such a heavy dose of like sexualization of the body, there needs to be, just to recalibrate, just a little removal of that, to be like, I can exist, especially as a woman, especially as a Black woman, in this body that is sexual, but it doesn't always have to be about sex. I don't have to be like an object of sex, you know? Mm-hmm. So I think that's been like basically my journey. I think that covers it.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying about don't do this again. I swear I'm not doing it again. I'm just gathering my thoughts.
It's okay. She'll forget. It's okay.
Yeah, about feeling like your body was sort of overly, or that Black women's bodies are overly sexualized. Like I've always known that intellectually, and it's not necessarily been my experience. I think, and that, you know, I think we've said a couple times that at some point we want, you know, maybe in season 2, I don't know, sometime, talk more just about sex and sexuality, which we could certainly do. But I think part of my journey with sexuality is that I kind of denied it for a long time. Like I just didn't exist for me.
Sure.
And so I think part of becoming at home in my body for me has meant like recognizing myself as a sexual being. And like, not to get but just like recognizing, like you said, like loving your body for the things that it does for you, you know, like it carries us from point A to point B. You know, it can make us, it can be strong for us so that if, heaven forbid, there's a Nazi that needs to be punched in the face, we're like ready and up to the task.
Yes. I also want to say too, like, I feel like the other thing that the body does that I feel like we don't pay enough attention to is like gives us information about how we're feeling. Like, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like there's that thing that goes around like talking about like the body remembers, and like in yoga, they talk about how like your hips hold so much emotion. And I'm like, I think that we so often, we ignore the signs that our body is like, hey, like this is a weird situation, or hey, I need water, or hey, I'm feeling like upset or uneasy about this, because we're like, oh, body, like, what do you know? You're just primal. But it's like, this is a wondrous like miracle that we have these, you know what I mean? And like they give us so much information that we just don't tap into it often enough.
Yeah, or that we ignore a lot of, or at least for me.
Actively ignore, yes.
Yeah, actively ignore. But yeah, so I think like, I feel like in my journey with my body, like appreciating my body's capacity for like sexual experience is like something that has, it's just not, I don't know that it's like made me like, now I've arrived in my, but it like added a new dimension, I think, to my experience of my body.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I have a couple like potential like questions for us to continue exploring, but is there anything that you want to say?
I mean, I don't think so now. I feel like I got excited about the questions, and now
I know, I lit up a little bit. Yeah, the two questions that are kind of floating around are, and we can tackle either or both or whatever. Is like, are there? Well, you kind of already answered this. Like, what are practices that help you maintain connection to your body, and then what has been like the impact of other people's view of your body? Did you answer both of those questions already?
Kind of, but I mean, I can do it more directly. Like we can just have like, you know, a section, because I have more things to say about the practice of like feeling your body. So that's for sure.
Say more about that. Say more about that.
Sure. So I think what helps a lot, at least for me with that practice, is like stillness, like meditation, which I think is a scary word for a lot of people, but like literally just sitting, probably closing your eyes and like breathing like that. That's all you need to notice in your body. Like, oh shit, like my stomach kind of hurts, or like my head kind of hurts. I think the other thing that is necessary is also like allowing your body to give you those signals. So I feel like a lot of time, for example, I saw this meme, I think it was a tweet or something, about how the steps of adulthood, or like what happens in adulthood. And one of them is like definitely some sort of stomach ache. it's just like a constant thing, you know? And I think that's true sometimes. I think like we habituate, that's the word, right? Habituate.
Sounds like a word.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think we habituate sometimes to sensations, and like when our body is actually trying to tell us something, you know? So it's like, if you are sitting still with your body and you're feeling a slight stomach ache and you're just like, oh, but that's always there. Maybe ask yourself why, you know what I mean? Like maybe dive into that. Like, what could it be? I think, yeah, yoga has really helped, like in being, and which is just more of the same. It's literally just like being with your body, focusing on the sensations that you're feeling. I think like working out has also helped me a lot too. Like literally focus on, like when you're like in spin, for example, when I'm in spin and my quads are burning, like be with your quads. Like literally when you're feeling something burn in a workout class, go there in your mind and like sit with it. And like in yoga, they say, send your breath there, you know, because I think that is, it's just like mindfulness. Like, it's just like practicing, remembering that you're here, you know? And then what was the other question that you had? What?
Like the impact of other people's, I guess, like feedback or like perspectives on your body image.
You know what? Actually, I do have a new point to bring up about this, because I'm like, I think one of the things that I struggled with in my life, and I kind of feel, I feel safe applying this to Black women in some sense, even though not all Black women have the same like body type or experience as me. But I'm like, I think on some level, like most, if not all Black women struggle with this tension between like, wait a minute, so am I the desired girl? Am I the hot girl, or am I invisible? Because like because like so many of like our physical features have been deemed to be beautiful, right? Just not on us. So,
yeah.
You know,
it's not on,
not on you. So it's, so I think there's this like, so I, at least I grew up with this where I was like, okay, like I have this body, like I'm not afraid to say it anymore. Like I have an hourglass figure. Thank you. Like I have an hourglass figure. And so I was like, okay, that seems to be a thing that is like desired in my society. My society seems to value women with hourglass figures, but it doesn't seem to be working for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like there seems to be a disconnect here. And so I think that brought on just a lot of like confusion for me. Just be, like what I said, like, am I the hot girl or am I invisible? Like, what is happening? Or am I just an object for men to like oogle and call out after and like visibly undress me with their eyes, but then not ever like ask me any real questions or like care about my person, you know? And again, like I think like the impact for me was dissociating from my body, because I was like, it doesn't feel safe to be here. It doesn't feel safe to have this ass. It doesn't feel safe to have these boobs. It doesn't feel safe to have this figure. Like I don't want to be here because like I can't exist here safely, you know? So yeah, and I think that has been the journey of like undoing that, and also recognizing that like I can make my own safe place. I can be safe in my body. I can choose that my body is safe. I can choose not to turn on myself. Like for example, so I remember actually I was telling my therapist about this incident where I was in downtown doing a photo shoot with one of my friends. Like I was the model and she was taking pictures of me. And like I was in like jean shorts, a white t-shirt, a hat, like whatever. And we were walking down the street and these two homeless men were like starting conversations with us. And it was like fine at first, but I was like, this might get weird. And then I started walking away and I heard him say something like, oh my Lord, or something like that. Like something that was like weird and uncomfortable. And as I was telling my therapist about the story, my body did this. Like I like hunched over. And she was like, I want you to notice that. I want you to notice that that you did this instead of like standing out like in yourself. You know what I mean? And that stuck with me because I was like, I think that there is this idea, we have the tendency to turn on ourselves when we get unwanted attention like that. When it's like someone calls after our bodies or someone says some lewd comment, we're like, we get mad at ourselves for looking like this, you know? We're like, why do you have to be like this? You know? Instead of being like, this is me, this is what I look like, and like, fuck that person, or like that's that person's problem. You know what I mean? Like it like kind of gets internalized. So I think that was also an impact that I noticed and have been also working on turning, is that like I am not the cause of any lewd comments that come to me. It is not my fault. Like any like weird attention that I get, it is not on me. That's on the other person, you know? And like I'm existing in this body and it will be safe. Like I will make this place safe for me. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm just going to need for you to like record a tutorial about how you've achieved that because literally every time, not every time, probably I haven't walked my dog in a month because I am not at home right now, which is a whole other story that our audience doesn't need to hear about right now. But when I walk my dog, when I'm at home and I have to walk my dog, probably at least 1 out of 2 times, if it's like the hours when people are driving around, you know, like I get catcalled and some, and it's in the South, it's confusing, right? Because people are friendly, right? People are friendly and you're supposed to like them. But like,
what does it look like then? What is it like?
I mean, to me, it's like when people, to me, the difference between like Southern friendliness and like misogynist friendliness is when it's like demanding a response. So like I could be like across the street, like walking in the opposite direction, like my back is to you. Like that's not like a normal time to like say hi.
Yes.
So if you're like yelling at me, trying to greet me, like I kind of know that like my strategy is not to turn around.
Yeah.
Because I haven't yet figured out a scenario where I turn around and it goes well for me.
Yeah.
Usually what I want to do is like give somebody the finger, use like obscenities. I haven't actually carried that out yet because I think it would endanger my safety, you know, but like part of me wishes that I was a more rash person because I think I would get a lot of gratification from it.
Sure.
Yeah. So in the South, it's confusing. But I just like really appreciate that you are able to, and I'm sure that it's not like 100 times out of 100 for you, but that, you know,
it is. So,
so Femi's arrived. Cheers to that.
I have reached enlightenment. You're welcome.
And we hope that she will create a tutorial for the rest of us.
And we hope, but we don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just
like, yeah, yes, I know you are. Yeah, I just always, I'm at least aware enough to know that like my internalization should not be happening. Like it's an illogical result of this other person's like improper is not the word, but like oppressive behavior.
Yeah.
But I just end up getting so mad. Like I just get like, I'm just angry, and I'm angry at myself for like being so I was about to say so sensitive. Yeah. For being sensitive enough to like, you know, they got me again. And,
but I feel like, I mean, why wouldn't you be mad?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like, because it's not that, I feel like even in the like idea of like, I'm standing in myself and this is that other person's problem, or like, I will create a safe space for myself, like whatever, like there's still room to be angry about like the fact that it happened, that you were disrespected, because like you were, and that's a valid response. You know what I mean? I think that's totally valid to be angry. I would be angry. I am angry. Like currently angry.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There was something else you said that I was gonna
tag up
about. I don't remember what it was.
Oh man. What did I even say? Was it about
I mean, I think just like another thing that I'm thinking. Oh, I remember you were talking about well, like you were talking about something positive about your body, like having like your body gives you information. Or it was the thing, like the anecdote of like kind of like making yourself small and like shrinking your shoulders.
Yeah.
I've had like a handful of like similar experience. I also am on the lifetime therapy plan. Yep.
Yeah. Yes.
As often as possible, for as many as possible. Although I've been on a hiatus and trying to get back into it.
Okay.
But one of the first therapists that I actually ever had had a decent focus in like, she didn't call it this at the time, but I'm pretty sure it was like somatic experiencing.
Yeah.
And so like one of the tools that has been really helpful for me that she had me do, and she like started me off with like a little, like a drawing of like a gingerbread man, you know, and it's like draw or stick figure. I think it was a gingerbread man. I think he had some bulk to him.
Sure.
And it's like, I would use colors to draw like feelings in different parts of my body. So like I would start every session with like this scan, you know, of like, here's what I feel in my shoulders. Here's what I feel in my legs. Here's what I feel in like my eyes or whatever.
Yeah.
And the thing that was really helpful, so like a thing that is a corollary to what you said, there was also a moment where she kind of like noticed me doing a particular, like my body was kind of oriented in a particular way that was like, that it wasn't before. And she was like, I'm noticing that you're positioned like in this way, like, let's like, what about this thing that you're remembering is tied to that? And it was like, it actually unearthed like a whole thing that we spent many sessions talking about. So the body does remember, like co-signing that 100%. But the other thing that was really helpful, that relates to what you said about like, you know, like yoga and breathing into your quads, you know, all of those things. A similar thing that that I learned with this therapist was, so like if I was feeling a negative emotion housed in a particular place in my body, she would invite me to feel that first, to like be present with that. And then she would invite me to like think, like to like scan the rest of my body. And it's like, is there a part of your body that like feels different or feels good in some way? And I remember this one time she asked me that, and I was like, I think it was at the opening of a session. I was like, my legs. She was like, okay, what do you feel in your legs? And it's like, well, they feel really strong. Like they feel like if I could run away, if I needed to run away, that I could, which is so deep, right? Like, and like revealing of what I was dealing with in that particular moment.
Yeah, that was not what I was expecting.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that, I don't know, I think that that is still, like, at least for me and like my present journey with my body, like I used to feel stronger in my body, and that's something that I feel like I am sort of chasing a little bit. Like, yeah, like I really I kind of like to do like weights when I go to the gym, you know, like free weights. There's this boxing gym in the town where I live in, and I keep telling my partner that I'm like gonna be a boxer, you know. Yeah, it's so fun. Oh my gosh. So nice to like hit things, and there's so many, you know, political figures, maybe one in particular that you could imagine on the punching bag, and that's just really gratifying.
Yeah. I honestly, I think I actually, like, in the middle, as I was, and so this episode is also in service of our dating episode, because I'm about to reference that right now. But like, I think in our dating episode, like I talked about like having to unlearn all these negative beliefs that I had about men, and beliefs that I had about like, I mean, I was going to say negative beliefs I have about racism, but like there's no positive beliefs about racism. So like, more so, I had to unlearn this idea that I'm fucked because I'm a Black woman. Like I had to unlearn that idea, right? And so in the dating pool. And so like I like in box, like there were some times where I went to a class, an exercise class, and we had like a boxing session where I was like literally like punching racism. Like that's what it felt like I was like punching, you know? But yeah, I totally resonate with that. Like just like envisioning and like getting that aggression like out. It's like very necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really necessary. I think the aggression part is necessary. And also like to me, just, I feel like there's I mean, it ties into me being a Black woman, but also I think there's something that I wrote recently, or not recently, but once upon a time, I think on a Facebook post.
Yeah.
I wish this podcast is not for men. This is not a podcast, A.
But like a video cast? Is that a thing?
A video, it's a web series.
A web series.
Not for,
in the beginning of every episode.
For white people or for men. But what I wish that men and white people and white men could understand is like how incredibly disempowered I feel so often as a Black woman. Like it's so easy for me to find environments where I feel disempowered.
Yeah.
It's so easy for me to find those environments. And it's so rare for me to find environments where I feel empowered and seen and, you know, where I can be seen, like be loved and recognized in my sexuality without being over sexualized. Like all of this is so, I don't know. I just,
Yeah.
Well, have no idea.
They don't. Well, and I mean, like, one dude that I was dating, like, recently asked, like, for example, he was like, I was telling him about my own journey of unlearning racism and like all that stuff. And I was talking about like, you know, the idea of, or the phenomenon of seeing Black women in like magazine ads always being like off to the side or behind the like blonde white woman in the center. And he was like, does it really matter like to see that like Black women centered in like magazine ads? And I was like, it does. And he wasn't asking in like an asshole way. Like he like literally didn't know, because again, privilege is blinding and invisible. So if you're a white man, like you're probably not going to see it as often, you know? And like, to your point too, about like how often you feel disempowered and like what lengths I guess you have to go to feel empowered. I was like thinking about like, yeah, like you have to, like often as Black women, we have to create spaces for ourselves. Like we have to like go out of the way. We can't just like walk into a boardroom and feel empowered. We can't just like, you know, walk into a coffee shop and feel empowered. Like we have to like literally, I went to an event this past weekend that was like, I don't know if it was directed specifically at Black women, but like probably because it ended up being like mostly Black women, but it was like this empowering space for Black women. That's like, I think that's like what we're doing in this like web series, even that's like what I'm doing in my business, you know, because it's like, we have to go out of the way to be like, this is for us. This is for us. And even with that, at least with my business, I can't even tell you how many times I've gotten the question like, okay, but what if you just made it for like all women? Like, what if you just like, it was like an empowerment thing, but you're like talking for like all women and not just like Black women, you know? And it's like, no, like no,
actually a bitch no.
Like, yeah, a bitch no, a fuck no, a hell no, like a hell to the nah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I like it, you're right. Like, it is such a feat, or such a, yeah, I guess feat is the good word. Like, to like create a space where like we feel empowered, you know? And I feel like the other thing too that I just thought of is like how unique it is to have a space like that with other demographics in it. Like it also sometimes feels like the spaces that I'm naming, for example, like are like for Black women, like we're the only ones allowed in, like for that reason. But then sometimes it feels like as soon as someone else is like let in, then it becomes about like, oh, like it's about all people, all women, all like whatever, you know what I mean? And so like, I don't know, I just think that that's also a unique thing too, where it's like, can we have shit? Like, you know, like, can we? Anyway, I don't know how we got to like to this, but this is where
we are.
You know,
here we are.
Yeah. But was there anything else you wanted to say about like body image? I feel like there were so many things that we could have riffed off of, or like a question that we didn't answer or something. Well,
go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, I feel like I wanted you to answer the same questions that you asked me, like your practice of like being in the body and like how it's impacted you.
Yeah, I think I was getting at some of that with that last anecdote that I was sort of telling. I mean, I think in a real way, I'm pretty out of touch with some of those practices. I think part of me asking that question of you was like an invitation for me to try to reclaim some of those things.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that I'm chuckling. I'm chuckling because I'm thinking about sex, and sex being one of the ways that, like, one of the things that helps me. What was the question? Oh, like feel connected to my body in a positive way. That's one thing.
You literally were like, I'm chuckling because I'm thinking about sex. Because what was the question?
Oh my gosh, I swear. So clearly one of us, I just am not very good at being drunk is the thing, y'all. I'm just not very good at it. I kind of lose my marbles.
I think that's just what being drunk is. That's like what, that's what we do as humans.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, it's a purpose.
Hi, Mom.
Ooh, mom. Yeah, we're not. We're pretending my mom is never going to see this.
That's probably the better approach. And then with the last thing about like other people's, I don't know. It's weird. It kind of like, again, I think I just felt like, I think for me, it felt like I was sexually ignored by anybody who I wanted to ever see me as like a sexual person.
Or
and received unwanted sexual attention from like strangers on the street, you know? And so I think that in whenever comes the time where we kind of dive more into sexuality, that would definitely be like an interesting thing because I felt like I didn't have any positive associations of sexuality, you know, like that hadn't necessarily been modeled for me, and I didn't have those experiences for myself.
Yeah.
And so to me, like, sexuality is what gets you like harassed in public.
Yeah.
Men, you know, that was like my only kind of context for it. And so I'm so grateful now to be in a different place where like I can express my sexuality in a safe and healthy relationship. So that's great.
Yeah, that is nice. And I think that's true. Like I think that happens for a lot of us where it's like sexuality. I think I even wrote about that recently on my Instagram about like how being taught to repress our sexual desires sometimes only ends in like a slingshot response of like diving headlong into sexual activity. But it's like, even in doing that, like you can fuck whoever you want, whenever you want, like whatever. There are children outside of my door. So it is unfortunate timing for that sentence. Like regardless, it's about like, are you present in your body? Do you feel empowered in it? Or are you feeling like, or have you not been taught to feel your body? And are you feeling like an object? Are you feeling like you're trading pieces of your body for affirmation? You know, like, and I think it's really rough when we're not taught like how to even, because I'm even thinking about like, obviously there's like some boundary with like parental teaching, right? With like regard to sexuality. But I think it really just stems back to like being able to be in your body and be able to advocate for yourself and say like, this feels good. This does not feel good. And it's okay for me to say that for myself, sexual feeling or not sexual feeling, you know? So I think that's totally valid. And I agree. I think it's great now that you're able to express your sexuality in a safe environment. And for all of you watching, not to say that a relationship is the only place that you can feel safe. So I just want y'all to not feel like, well, damn, I don't got a boyfriend. Like I can't be expressing my sexuality. You can with whomever you want. Just make sure that it's like, again, checking in with your body, that is working for you. And if it's not, if you need a relationship, that's okay too.
Absolutely. Co-sign all of those things.
Yes. Okay. I think that's it.
I think that's this episode.
Oh, it was good.
Season 1.
Black Girl
Drink for another hour.
Right. Lord. Okay, well, thank you all for joining us for this season of Black Girl Fireside Chats. It has been incredible. Thank you, Mawia, for all of your brilliant thoughts and ideas and insights and tethering us to the point, because I know I drifted several times.
You know, I think we each.
And so unto you as well. As will I.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. In season 2, we'll consider drinking less, but we can't really make any promises. But really, seriously, shout outs to Femi. Like, I think we both said at different times, because like really just insider tip, it's not a tip, insider information.
Yep.
And he's like, where are you going with this? We didn't really know each other that well before this.
Yeah, that's true.
we've kind of like gone deep in a short amount of weeks.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Talked
mm-hmm.
a lot, and I don't know. I want you to like sappy times. I don't know what I'm saying, but really, I appreciate it. I'm grateful. It's like, I think I like use the phrase of like bearing witness. Like it's like a gift to be able to bear witness to another person's story. And so I'm grateful for you for sharing it with me.
Wow, I'm like gonna cry right now.
Aww.
Overwhelming. No, I 100% agree. And I'm also very grateful to you for like sharing with me, sharing on camera. I know that this like is not normally your space. Like I've chosen for my career. Like, you know what I mean?
You're like a little more on board. I'm still getting there.
You're getting there. You're getting there. And that's okay. Yeah. But like we're just gonna keep doing this for the next hour. So like if you want so if you need to go somewhere, that's fine. No, but yeah.
Actually, please press the stop button. Please stop watching.
No, but like, yeah, again, like I just really appreciate you, like your willingness to like be open and share like what you know and like share even what you don't know and when you don't know. And like I just feel like you're like supportive of not only me, but also like our audience. And I think that that's really beautiful. So. Okay.
Cheers to us.
One more time, because we didn't need to do that.
Yeah, we don't need to. Mm-hmm.
Thank you for real for joining us for this season of Black Girl Fireside Chats. We are coming back to you for a second season. We will
with some surprises.
With some new additions, you know. So stay tuned. Follow Mawiyah at MAWIYAHK. On Instagram, you can follow me at FEMIIO. We will be letting you know like what's happening, what the surprises are, like all that shit, you know. So like come hang. And also, again, we're still taking questions. We still want to hear from you. We still like this is an ongoing thing. So like if you have something that you want us to talk about or something that you want us to consider, we are all for it.
Yep, we're into it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope everyone has a lovely evening, and we will see you for season 2.
Like I'm gonna go fall into bed.
Literally that. Okay.
Bye, everyone.